The Supreme Court has ruled that Jill Stein will not be on the ballot in Nevada for the November election. So we'll put this up on the screen now. This is our cover sheet here showing again that the Supreme Court is declining a request to put Jill Stein on Nevada's presidential ballot. This is coming out of CBS News showing that the Supreme Court on Friday rejected a bid to put the Green Party candidate on the Nevada general election ballot, leaving in place a lower court decision that excluded the party from the vote. So we briefly touched on, all the different ballot access problems that Jill Stein was having in a previous video. You can go back and check that out. This is the thumbnail from that video. Please go check it out. You can see how she defeated a lawsuit in Georgia and how she's been kind of battling a whole bunch of different lawsuits from around the country, mostly from Democratic Party operatives in the DNC who've been trying to keep her off the ballot in as many battleground states as possible. So, quick recap for those who don't know, Jill Stein is the presidential candidate for the Green Party. She is now the nominee for that party for, I believe, the third time now. She ran under the banner in 2012 and in 2016. And in a lot of ways, a lot of Democratic, insiders, politicians, people around the DNC, they kind of see her and, truthfully, it's not a weird thing to think, a little bit of a threat. The people who typically, vote for the Green Party, in some cases, you would think that Green Party voters, if they weren't going to vote for a Jill Stein, they probably wouldn't vote at all. But I think some of them might vote for a Democratic candidate if Jill Stein wasn't an option on the ballot. So I do think, to a lot of ways, Jill Stein being on the ballot is taking votes away from Kamala Harris. But personally, as far as I'm concerned, I think it is a candidate's job to win over the votes of the people. And so it shouldn't matter if there's 2 people on the ballot or 25 people on the ballot. If people are really upset by the quote unquote spoiler effect, then we should be enacting ranked choice voting across the country. That's how I feel about it. But, going back to this article here, this is again from CBS. The dispute involving the Nevada Green Party was brought by the Nevada State Democratic Party, which sued in June to challenge the Green Party's access to the ballot. Nevada Democrats claim the Green Party, a minor political party in the state, used the wrong form to gather signatures to get on the ballot, rendering them invalid. The Green Party had been inadvertently emailed the incorrect form by the Nevada's Secretary of State's office after its original petition contained a technical error. So let me put my cards on the table here. I'm not even really a big fan of Jill Stein. That's not really what this is about. This is just pointing out obvious hypocrisy that we are seeing right now. Let's just get this story straight. So the Secretary of State in Nevada, who's a Democrat, by the way, emails the incorrect form to the Jill Stein campaign. Now, we could take this one of two ways. Either he purposely sent the wrong form so that this could happen in the future, or again, just blatant mistake. But either way, a mistake in like a application was sent to Jill Stein. And even though she, filled it out and had 3 times the amount of signatures, because you have to get X amount of signatures to get on any ballot here in the country, she had like tripled the amount of signatures she needed. But because of some mess up actually at the from the Secretary of State himself, now she is like being sued to get kicked off the ballot when she didn't do anything wrong. That's an absolute joke, especially from a party that is constantly shoving down everyone's throat how they are the party of that believes in democracy. That is an absolute joke. We are the party that believes in democracy, but even though we made a mistake, and then we're going to end up using against you to kick you off the ballot so people can't vote for you in an election. No, that's an absolute sham. Like, there's no way of getting around it. Even if it was a genuine mistake, then you should just own up to that mistake and say that, hey, we made a mistake. Sorry about that. You didn't do anything wrong. You are allowed to be on the ballot. That's what it should be. And again, if you are so upset with the Green Party taking away votes from the Democratic Party, then maybe the Democratic Party should be doing a better job of winning over the votes of the people. It should be that simple. But the Democratic Party, for all this talk about democracy, we see this time and time again where they're trying to find different ways to get Jill Stein off the ballot. Again, there's court cases in Wisconsin, there was court cases in Georgia, there was cases in North Carolina. They've been all over the place with this stuff. This is also the same party that went out of its way when Biden was still the nominee to cancel the primary process and not hold debates and cancel primaries altogether, like in the states of Florida. This is the same party that has something called super delegates, where they have individual like insiders in the Democratic Party who their votes are like equivalent to the votes of like 10,000 or more people in the Democratic primary process. It's all a joke. Okay, the Democratic Party does not believe in democracy. It's just a convenient thing for them to say right now because Trump is a fascist. So let's go to Jill Stein's reaction really quickly here. She put this up on Twitter. This was actually after the lower court ruling that was referred to earlier in this piece. The Nevada State Supreme Court, they had initially ruled that, the Green Party was not being able to be on the ballot. She goes into, again, talking about how they had like triple the signature requirements. She also calls out the hypocrisy of the DNC here and saying that she's going to continue to fight on. And so for those who are interested, where you can vote for Jill Stein here in America right now, like where is she on the ballot? Let's put this up with a screen now. This is a map that shows basically every state in the country where she's on the ballot are in dark green. You can see those light kind of like toothpaste green ones there. She's just running a write-in campaign, so technically not on the ballot. You can write her in. And then there's 4 states where she just won't be on the ballot at all: South Dakota, Oklahoma, Indiana, and now Nevada. But as you can see, she's on the ballot in most states here in America. I'll say this, kind of like to round this out here. I think that the two-party system here in America is, again, an absolute joke. I hope that as time goes on, we can move away from it. We desperately need ranked choice voting. I, again, applaud the states that have it, the cities that have it. I think we need it everywhere. There is a bill that's been brought up recently. So to enact this, across the entire country, I think that'd be desperately needed. At the very least, I would love to see more states and cities be trying to implement this in other places. But I will say this, in an effort to try to kind of break this two-party system, we do need to prop up the third parties when we can. And I think that strategically, the best way to avoid a Donald Trump presidency while also supporting the Green Party and other like third parties is to vote more strategically in elections like this. For instance, if you do not live in a swing state, I encourage you to vote third party at the top of the ticket. I'm not talking about the Senate races or the House races or your state legislatures or your local races. I mean, just the presidential line. I think that if you live in like Montana, where I live, or in Idaho, or in Louisiana, or in Tennessee, or in West Virginia, if you live in some deep red state, there is no point to voting for Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket because she is not winning those states. She's not winning those states. Your vote is purely symbolic in those states. She's never going to win them there. So you shouldn't feel guilty or feel some sense of necessity to vote for Kamala Harris in those states. In fact, it's actually more of a symbolic vote in that state than voting for the Green Party, because at least voting for the Green Party, if they get 5% nationally, it will give them matching funds from the government. They'll be also allowed to join debates in the future. Unlike now, I think that it is something that we should all be investing into, again, voting more strategically to try to find a way to break this two-party cycle. Now, as information continues to evolve with the election, and if more like lawsuits come up or if anything else comes up as far as who will be on the ballots where, we'll update everybody on that as as these stories continue to develop. But that is all for this video. If you did like it, please go ahead and support independent thought by joining our Substack. The link for that will be in the episode description. It's the best way to support our channel and our show. And we will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching this video of independent thought. If you liked the conversation, please go ahead and give the video itself a like, and be sure to subscribe for future episodes on the channel.